Welcome to the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside Louisville, Kentucky, and in Maryland, the land of pleasant living, my home state. John Webster. John, how you doing, my man?
Hey Gary, everything's going real good, man.
All
Another
right, that's good to
another good
hear.
weekend. Another good week in sports. The weather is continually getting warmer and warmer, which I love, and
Hey, it
I'm
can't get
getting
any
happy
hotter.
about that. Hey, I'm
We
getting
got,
happy about that.
well, wait, if it was any hotter, it'd be hell.
Well, anyway,
Well, speaking
John Pitt,
of,
how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. We skipped the week there. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we
yeah,
got some stuff to talk about, man. We're gonna start it off first with baseball, and we're gonna jump right into it and ask Gary about his thoughts on Mike Rizzo and Dave Martinez both being let go by the Washington Nationals. What's going on, Gary?
well, depending on who you talk to, is something that should have gone on a long time ago. Um, Uh, I don't know many managers who win a World Series and then have six consecutive losing seasons and hold on to their jobs, or general managers for that matter. But that's what happened in Washington. And the thing about this year is that it was probably about a month ago when they had started off slow. They were about 10 games under 500. They started to play better. In fact, I think they had gotten to some like 10, 13 games under 500, started playing a lot better, got to within 3 of 500, and then everything went south. And of course, the Red Sox come in and handle them this weekend. And I think that was really enough. And maybe the timing's good, but John, as we always say, in-season firings don't make any sense because you've already gone through half the schedule, with the guy who brought you, with the date who, dance with the date who brung you. That's the saying goes. And yes, it's not going to get any better. I don't know if they're going to lose 100 games this year, but last place looks like a reality for them, even worse than the Miami Marlins. And there's just I don't know. There's no hope for this team in my view because the team isn't on the market anymore, but nobody's rushing to buy him. There's no manager out there that would be willing, in my view, to come manage this team, even though they have a lot of great young talent that they obtained through trades. They traded away all their stars after winning the World Series in 2019. Some of those guys have collected rings elsewhere. I don't know much about their farm system other than, it's not very highly rated. So, there's no prospects that you can see coming up. And again, most of their starters were obtained through trades, particularly the Juan Soto trade to San Diego, that brought some guys in, and they got some guys from the Dodgers, in the trade that sent Trey Turner and Max Scherzer out there. And in baseball, and you can attest to this, in Baltimore, that yeah, a change is probably coming, but why do you make a change on July the 6th as opposed to, say, October the 6th or something? You're not going to prevent 100 losses. And hiring having an interim GM and an interim manager, I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's helpful or not. There are a lot of teams that just have questions about their leadership that have that have just gone in the tank. The White Sox. I don't want to say the Orioles because the Orioles, they're coming off a sweep of Atlanta, and of course that whole situation has raised questions in Atlanta for Schnitker. And there are just so many teams, really bad teams in baseball, that seem to show no hope, no chance of improvement. And the Nationals are one of those teams. And I saw an interesting note in a column in one of your local papers that said The Nationals have never hired their own general managers in the time that the Lerners have owned the team. And this one, I'm calling out the Lerners because, again, you went hard in the free agent market. You got Max Scherzer. You drafted well, where you got Soto and Strasburg and Bryce Harper, who's now playing in Philadelphia. Oh yeah, and you also got Anthony Rendon, who left via free agency. But Jim Bowden, they inherited from the team that came from Montreal. Rizzo was his assistant, and he got promoted, when Bowden was fired. They've never really cultivated their own talent, other than say those draftees, particularly Bryce Harper and Strasburg. And yes, they won a World Series with Strasburg, but they haven't done much beyond that. And of course, a year after they win the World Series, they get rid of everybody, which nobody in DC, should have been surprised by, including me. Well, I'm not in DC, but John, it's a vicious cycle where you build a team to be competitive. You become competitive, and then you try to get to the next level. And some good managers have come through. Frank Robinson started off. We had Dusty Baker, who everybody loved and who was a good manager, but he couldn't get out of the first round. So as much as that hurt, that's the reality of baseball. Of course, he goes to Houston and wins the World Series. They bring in Davey Martinez, who had no managing experience per se, and he gets them to the World Series and they win. He makes all the right moves, but it's just been downhill since then. And I just don't have any hope right now for this team. And I dare say they look like a team that, despite being in Washington for 20 years now, that it wouldn't be surprising if they came up in a conversation for relocation. And where I am, everybody talks about Nashville being the next destination for a team that wants to move. I don't know if it's going to be Washington. Remember, the Orioles were in that discussion a year or two ago before they got good. So, John, that's a long answer to a short question. But again, this one falls on ownership because they just don't seem to have any interest in paying players, trading for players, developing their system. And it's a sad state of affairs because the fan base has been loyal and has shown that they want a team here, that they'll support a team here, even during those lean early years. And I don't know what it's like now, but I can't believe that they draw 20,000 a game if somebody told me.
Well, you said a mouthful, and as always, you're on.
I think that was
you're on point. You're on point. I have no problem with that, Gary. But what I'll say about the Nationals, and then we can delve into the Orioles next. I don't think they have been consistent in free agency. I don't think they've been consistent with their farm system. I don't think they've been consistent with the international market. And this is what you have right now. Now, what I will say, to fire your manager now, what are they, 17 or 18 games below 500? They're going nowhere fast. To me, it makes no sense. And then the Rizzo and Martinez had these contracts where they ended in July. I don't think the ownership of the Nationals did themselves any favors. They're not going to improve and get out of last place. They have some good young talent. The kid, James Woods, matter of fact, he's going to be in the home run derby. And he did a number on the Orioles a few weeks ago. And you got some other young players. I really like the shortstop.
Josh Bell. I'm trying to remember if Bell was in there.
Yeah, and then the shortstop. What's the shortstop's name? He's really, I really like him. I can't never remember the kid's name, but and then they got a closer Finnegan, and I guess what they do now, July 31st, you sell off the team, and you replenish your farm system, and you try to build it back up again. And who knows how that's going to work. Um, you're talking about ownership and maybe being moved. I don't know. I'm not a big Nats fan, which and everybody else knows. I'm Orioles, but I don't want to see this area lose their team. Don't want to see that happen. But this weekend was rough. They played the Red Sox 3 games and they lost all 3. 2 of them were not close. I think it was 11-2 and 10-3. Yesterday's game, I think it was 6-4. I think, but yeah. And plus, also, Gary, they're in a rough division. You're looking at the Phillies. You're looking at the Atlanta Braves. You got the Marlins in that division. And who else is in that National League East?
Well, the Mets. Until the Mets, took a dive here lately. That was the team that was leading the division, and again, but again, a month ago they were within sight. I think they were maybe about 5 games out, of the wild card, and then it just went south in a hurry.
It makes no sense to fire Dave Martinez and Rizzo yesterday on Sunday. My honest opinion, I think I have no knowledge of this, but what I think they went to Rizzo and said they wanted him to fire Martinez, and Rizzo said no, and then Rizzo ended up getting himself fired too. I think that's what I think happened.
Yeah,
and
that's the belief. That's the general belief, and of course, the learners will never admit it.
Well,
in my view, I mean that's my opinion.
There's a reason why teams stay good, and there's a reason why teams stay bad. But I wish them the best and hope they get it figured out. But let's go up BW Parkway and talk about those Orioles, man. They're 9 games below 500. They have 6 games left before the All-Star break. They have 3 against the Mets, 3 against the Marlins. Both teams, they have a history of struggling against both teams. So we'll see how this plays out. I said to you and I've said to others, I would like to see them 81-81. They're talking about a wild card chance, but the way I look at races is this. You can't think about getting to the wild card until you catch the team that's in front of you. Right now, Cleveland is a half game ahead of the Orioles. You got to catch them first. Then you got to catch Kansas City. Then maybe you can start thinking about that. My mind is thinking about what I can do next year. I still would like to make the wild card, but it's going to be hard. And the thing I would also say when it comes to this trade deadline, if I'm the Orioles, I'm not trading off everything and doing a total rebuild. I have said from day one, this is a rough season for them. They have had injuries that have been on top of injuries. Gary, I'll give a new stat to you today. Do you know for all the catchers in Major League Baseball who are on injury reserve, the Orioles have 33% of the catchers on injury reserve in Major League Baseball right now?
So what was Rushman?
Sanchez.
Oh, yeah.
Rushman, Sanchez, Maverick Hanley, and Trump. They made a trade with the Yankees this weekend to get a guy named Alex Jackson as a catcher. They brought a catcher, and I think he came from Arizona, Jackson Stallings, and he's doing okay.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
I mean, but injuries. Garrett, ask me how many pitchers are are on injury reserve.
Right now it's 5, right?
6.
6. Who went on? Who's the most recent addition?
Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, Zach Eflin, Cade Povich, Tyler Wells, Albert Suarez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
You know,
again, here's the upside, John, if you want to look at it that way. Even with all that, like you said, they're 9 games under 500 and one good hot streak. Again, if they sweep both series this weekend, they're within reach of 500, and once you get to even, you never know what can happen. Of course, getting to 500 builds confidence that usually translates into more. The Atlanta Braves demonstrated that at least for 1.5 months before they kind of fell off and got swept by the Orioles. The thing about what the Orioles did, I guess, with both teams along the Parkway in '95 done, is demonstrate how much success and failure starts at the top. If you don't build at least a decent farm system, you're not building for your future. If you don't trade well, you're not building well for your present. And if you don't draft well, or the guys that are in your system, maybe I'll say it like that, the guys already in your system, if you're not seeing any improvement with them, you're not doing your job in ownership. You're treading water. You're taking in money. You're trying your best not to spend money. And, it's easy for a retired sports writer. It's easy for fans like you and I to talk about how millionaires or billionaires should spend their money. We all know that it's nuanced, but for crying out loud, if you want people to come watch your product, put a product on the field that's at least halfway watchable. And that's what bothers me the most about both teams right now, that they make these panic moves to absolve themselves from the fact that they did not put good teams on the field, or did not assemble good rosters or good farm systems, or make good trades, or do anything when they started having all these injuries. And, as in the case of the Orioles, like all those names that you just ran off are guys I've never heard of. So, essentially you're in that bin as you go out of the convenience store where everything is $1.
Well, I think the Orioles as a whole have a good foundation. I really do. I think the problem that they have is pitching. They can't get any starting pitching. That's the problem. And I think this offseason they have to make a move for that. Or at the trade deadline, you make a trade for some pitchers that are AAA who are ready to go up to the major league level. That can be tricky. So you may just want to look. Last year, Corbin Burns got away. They tried to make a run at Blake Snell. Max Fried got away. A lot of them got away. Dante will tell you, and others will tell you, there's one pitcher I still want on the Orioles. They tell me it's a pipe dream, it'll never happen. Well, I will continue to dream and hope that one day it will. I want Clayton Kershaw.
John, if you had told me that a month ago, I would have thought you were crazy. But, now looking at where Kershaw is in his career, of course, he's not a number one starter anymore. He's still
absolutely
effective. But he still brings the heat. Gosh, I'm trying to remember the guy that I saw just last week. The Dodgers closer who consistently threw 102 and higher when they faced the Padres. And I want to say his name was Hernandez or something, but oh my gosh, when they were talking about him and talking about, Kershaw and how his effectiveness now is with a breaking ball. And if you remember when he broke, I think it was 3,000 strikeouts or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What did he get the guy on? An 85-mile-an-hour changeup, which shows he's now trying to be a crafty pitcher. I could see him in a rotation in Baltimore and maybe developing a young staff. Heck, he could even be the ace of the staff. So what you say is not out of bounds. And at this point, John, what do you got to lose? I mean, really,
Yeah.
what do you have to lose?
Well, that's a good point, Gary, and we're going to have to table it and come back to it. You're right. But speaking of what do you have to lose, what do the Knicks have to lose? They hired Mike Brown the other day.
I'm sorry. John, that one, again, this is what happens when you make a panic move. And don't get me wrong, Mike Brown is a wonderful coach. I mean, he's a two-time coach of the year. He's done some reclamation projects unlike anything I've ever seen. But this is the New York Knicks. And if his predecessor, Tom Thibodeau, gets fired there after going to the conference finals, after going to the conference finals and after winning 50 games in back-to-back seasons, and they still fire him, and you bring in Mike Brown, who was doing a wonderful job in Sacramento, but he got fired, and obviously there was a power play, in effect there, and of course the coach is always going to lose on it. But I'll put it like this: I think Mike Brown sadly could do better than the Knicks because of the situation, not because of the talent that he has. He can probably do something with that talent, but you got the toughest fan base. You got the toughest, media base following him. And most importantly, you've got the toughest owner probably in the NBA to please. I don't know if he makes it. If he gets 2 or 3 years out of it, John, I'd be very, very surprised.
Well, this goes back to what I've said to you before. You want a job and you take a job and you don't really think about the scenario you're in because you want a job. I've always said I would not want any job in New York City. I'm not a New York City kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more a country guy. Small town, slow pace.
The
That's
Oriole
me.
way, right?
Yeah, the Oriole way. Yeah, I mean, but Mike Brown's a good coach, but just being a good coach may not be enough with the Knicks. You got James Dolan, who's now going to have time to pay attention to what's going on there, which he didn't before because of some other projects he was involved in. So we'll see. You still have Brunson there, but you need a few more things to go with it. You still have Karl Anthony Towns there, but you need some more. You have Bridges, you have Josh Hart, but you need a little bit more there. You need a little bit more. And they may want to make a run because the East is wide open. Boston's not going to come back in the East this year with Tatum out. Indiana probably is not going to come back with Halliburton out. So the East is going to be open.
And they just lost Miles Turner, too. Remember that?
Yeah.
They just lost Miles Turner.
Yeah, they lost Miles Turner. Cleveland's, they looking at trying to do something. Milwaukee, I don't know what Milwaukee's going to do. I don't know if they know what they're going to do because you got to figure out what you're going to do with Giannis, and then you go from there. So it's going to be an interesting summer. It's going to be an interesting next few weeks to see who makes moves and who doesn't make moves. Let me ask you this. What do you think about Kevin Durant going to Houston?
At first I didn't like it because I'm thinking, I was thinking about it from Durant's standpoint, that, I mean, this is a future Hall of Famer who's like, with his 5th or 16. And I don't know what he's chasing at this point. after a couple of weeks looking at it, I do like it for Houston because the guy still can score. He really can. And for a team like Houston, which I don't know, I'm not ready to say that they're on the cusp of that next level because, there's a team called Oklahoma City out there. Denver is still strong. The Lakers are still in the picture. I don't know how strong they are, but they're still in the picture. But Houston, Houston's thing, even when they had Harden and those guys, their thing was they had to learn how to win. I don't know if Durant can teach these young guys how to win to get past that, to get past the first round or the second round, but it can't hurt because I do think he will cajole a lot of those guys, if not outright harass them, to get a little something out of them. And I think he's in a better situation, even though he's in his mid-30s, probably even older than that, but he still has something left in the tank. And if you can get 2 or 3 years out of him, and you can get that team to play better, I think it's worth it. And I didn't think that a month ago when this trade was made.
Well, it'll be interesting. I think definitely Kevin Durant's going to make them better from a scoring standpoint. He's a terrific ball player, without a doubt. But I'm not sure that just adding him is going to be enough to get them over the top. I still have some questions about their guard play, and we'll see we'll see more as it gets closer to the season. Also, Banchero signed to a big deal, $230 million.
He got a max already. Is that a max contract?
In my world, that's a max.
Yeah.
So we'll that's good. Orlando's is a scrappy team. Like I said, Boston's not going to be there. I even hear Boston talking about I don't know if it's true or not. I've heard some rumblings about more trades there. Derek White, Jaylen Brown. I've heard it. So Orlando's a scrappy team. Banchero is the main piece to that puzzle to make them go. So that was good to sign him in there. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Gary, as always, time goes too fast, man. We're rolling through time. As we're going out and you're taking us home, give us a quick update on Wimbledon and your thoughts on the Gold Cup that the USA unfortunately lost yesterday.
Well, let's see. I'll start with the Gold Cup and come back to Wimbledon. I think it's the same old with the U.S. men's national team that, again, a program that on paper or at first glance appears to be, building a competitive team. They've got a good nucleus, but every time they get into like these feeder competitions, whether it's CONCACAF or something, they always find a way to lose it. And they've lost matches to countries that they shouldn't lose to. I don't know how much of that is focus. I don't know how much of that is talent. I don't know how much of that is strategy. We're talking about they've had coaching turmoil as well. It's just that unlike the women's program where they build that team not just to make the World Cup, but to win the World Cup, to win the World Championships, to win the Olympics. And the U.S. men's team, I don't know. I think that they're still building that team to try to get out of pool play, to try to get maybe 2 wins in pool play, whether it's the Olympics or the World Cup. And the World Cup is not really a thing for them right now. They can't even focus on that, and that's that's just how I've felt about this program for a long, long time. Every so often the squirrel finds a nut, but again, there's a lot of leaves that he's got to dig through. Most of the time.
Yeah, tell us about Wimbledon.
Well, let's see, Wimbledon. Let's see, because I had started to watch it today, and wow, let's see. Oh, Yannick Sinner, he's out. That's a surprise. He lost to Dimitrov. Yannick Sinner is a fun
Wait a
guy to
minute.
watch.
Yannick Sinner's out.
Let's see. Well, hold on. Whoop, I'm sorry. I take that back. He's down two sets, and yeah, got called off. I'm sorry, called off basically by darkness. I'm sorry. Yeah, but he's down. He's down two sets. It's tied 2-2 in the third. Yeah, Dimitrov was up. He won 6-3 and 7-5, and it's tied in the third set. See, I'm trying to think who else. Novak Djokovic is, Joker's being Joker. He's through, and he lost. He dropped the first set, but won the next three rather, 6-4. And he's the guy that you have to look at. He's going for a record. He seems to be playing his best tennis at the right time of the season. This is his event, but the guy, whoo, my favorite player to watch in this particular event is Carlos Alcaraz. He's energetic. He shows no fear of the big dogs, and he's an aggressive guy. This is a kind of tournament that I think really, really serves his game well. And he's one that, again, if I saw him and Joker in a match somewhere down the line this weekend as it wraps up, wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, on the women's side, well, sorry about Coco Gauff. She went out in the first round, but Ilya Swiatek, she looks strong. I'm sorry, I said Ilya. I meant to say Iga Swiatek. She looks strong. She swept her match today. Let's see. I'm trying to think of who else. That's about it. I don't think she's dropped a set. Actually, I take that back. She's only dropped one set since she's been in this tournament. She's rolling. That's the player that you got to watch out for.
Okay. I hear you, Gary.
I try to make it quick.
Said, well, we appreciate it. And as always, you got great information. This week, watch some more Wimbledon. Watch some more soccer. Watch the baseball and get ready for the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. But above all else, just watch some sports and come back and see us. Take care.